Hey everyone, Luke here with another video. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you about when you should fire your customers. Not your boss, but when you should fire your customers. Let's go. Hey everybody, Luke here. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about when you should fire your customers. No, I'm not talking about quitting your day job or firing your boss. I'm talking about firing your customers. And you're probably asking, what do I mean by this? You know, we should always try and pursue the customer. That is true to an extent. So where this video actually stemmed from is I was actually talking to somebody that I affiliate with in other business matters, and we were talking about a customer that basically was just being very cheap about the cost of something. And I really didn't see the customer ever conforming or understanding where we were coming from on price. I was basically actually giving somebody some consulting advice and trying to help them grow their business. And I was just basically telling them that this customer and just these type of people are just not going to conform to the price of what it's going to actually cost to perform the work that you need to perform for them. And he was kind of heartbroken over this. He was just upset that, you know, he couldn't get the job or the client that he was trying to get. And he was just kind of very upset and kind of almost being emotional about it. And I said, you can't chase a customer that doesn't understand the cost of things. You can try your hardest. You can try, you know, talking to them multiple ways. But if you have a customer that is so ignorant that they don't understand what it costs to perform a job, marketing, or, you know, what the cost of their item is, you're never ever going to win. Now, this relates to all business models and probably all businesses actually in the business spectrum, but we're going to talk about phone flipping here for a second. So I think we've all had that customer that's texted us or called us and said, hey, I have an iPhone 6 Plus and I would like $500 for it. I paid $899 when it was brand new, or whatever the story is. It's a low-grade phone at a ridiculously high price. Now, of course, you can combat them. There's a couple different ways you can go about this. You can say, you know, it's an awesome phone and everything. However, the phone is 4 or 5 years old now, and unfortunately for that reason, I can only offer you, you know, $100 or $150 cash. So these are all numbers, by the way, that I'm just kind of throwing out of the hat. I'm not appraising these live or anything, but something to think about when you get a customer that calls you and they are so far out of reality what it's actually going to resell for and what you're, you know, what somebody's potentially able to buy it for. There's no point in chasing these customers. There's no point in beating yourself up over it if you don't close the deal. There are some deals that are just basically, they're so far out of reality that you cannot close them. However, there is one technique that you can use that sometimes closes the deal itself. So if you have a customer that comes to you, and we'll just use the iPhone 6s Plus for an example. I think the iPhone 6s Pluses, without looking at them, I want to say they're probably selling for around $220 to $200 probably on eBay. I would guess. I'm not looking at this. I'm just kind of doing this right off the top of my head. But if you have a customer that comes to you and the phone's worth $200, you know, our offer is probably going to be right around $80 to $100 at most. And if the customer says, well, you know, I bought this phone brand new and I paid $600 for it, I really need to get like $450 for it. You can try tackling this customer and basically saying, no, absolutely not, it's $100. You might offend the customer if you do this. If you go in too aggressively, you might offend them and you might completely lose the deal and just throw it out and make the customer become more ignorant. Because ignorant people become more ignorant when they're basically just slammed in the face and told that, hey, you're completely wrong. That's not how you work this customer. One of the best ways to deal with this customer, and there's two different ways, is one, tell the customer, you know, hey, you understand it's a really nice phone and you probably did pay that much for it, and although it's a great phone, the phone is 3 to 4 years old now, and, you know, the iPhone 11 is going to be coming out, so I can only pay $100 cash for it because I do have to resell it myself. So you can go about it nicely and try and educate the customer a little bit and bring them off their pedestal or their alter reality, bring them down to reality and kind of educate them on why you can only pay this. Let them know that you're not trying to rip them off or anything, but this is kind of the market value of it. This often works. However, if this doesn't work, if you have a very stubborn customer that just says, no, absolutely not, I don't care if it's sold, here's what you do. You message them back and you say, basically in quotes, and you can quote me on this, basically what you're going to want to message them is, well, that's the best price that I can do. I can offer you $100 cash just because that's what they're going for. This is the market value, and I'd really like to buy your phone from you. The offer's good for 24 hours. Let me know. Period. Hit send. Close the messenger. Doesn't matter what they say after that unless you get a message that says, okay, I'll sell it for that. What you do is by sending them a message that says, okay, I can only offer $100. This is my best price. The offer is good for 24 hours. If you are dealing with somebody that desperately wants to sell their phone, even if they're out of reality, when they get this number and they know that the offer is only good for 24 hours, this causes anxiety and it causes them to think about what they just said. Because sometimes these people just jack the prices up on their phones because they might find a sucker out there that'll actually pay them $400 to $500 for an iPhone 6s Plus. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I've seen it happen before because I have purchased phones from people like this that buy the phone and then realize that it's worth little to nothing. So if you send them that message and create a little bit of anxiety and basically create some kind of suspense, make them think about what they just said to you and how they passed up your $100 offer. It makes them think, and it causes them to get a little bit of anxiety. It causes them to get anxious. And if you say, it's good for 1 week, that gives them a lot of time to think about it. So what I recommend is just tell them 24 hours or tell them 3 days, 3 days at max. I used to say 1 week, but it seems like the shorter the offer time, the better the response this technique works with the customer. So what I do with these hard leads is I basically do the first approach. I try and tell them, hey, it's a great phone and everything, but it's just so old that, I can only offer X amount. And if that doesn't work, that's when I continue talking to the customer a little bit and I say, well, I'd really love to buy this phone, but $100 cash is the best I can do on it. And if you want to sell it, I can meet you anytime, any place, but my offer is only good for 24 hours. Period. Let me know if you change your mind. Send the message and then just completely move on to the next lead. Now, going back to the story that actually kind of stemmed or inspired this video. I've been talking to this affiliate of mine or this client of mine that I've been trying to help them grow their business, etc. And I've just been telling them, if you have a lot of leads, focus on the leads that are high priority. Focus on the leads that are customers that are paying. So as I just used this kind of quote or texting example that I kind of just gave you in this video, if you're dealing with somebody like this, you send off those 2 messages after talking to them, and then after that, like I said, just close the chat box. Don't even look at it unless the person messages back and says, okay, I'll sell the phone. Leave that customer behind and focus on the leads at hand. So the best thing to actually get more deals is not always necessarily closing the customers, but it's knowing which deals to pursue and not pursue. A customer that wants $400 to $500 for his phone, it's not worth you bickering back and forth with him for an hour when you might have 15 leads or 15 unread messages. So the best thing to do is actually generate as many leads as you can, close as many as you can without sacrificing valuable time on the ones that are just really ignorant that it's going to be very hard to close them. You can try, of course, I'm not saying I discourage you, but this method of kind of sorting and prioritizing the leads that are closable versus the ones that are just completely out of reality works really well for me. That's how I've been able to scale my business. I guess that's one of the reasons, there's many reasons how I've scaled my business, but that's one of the big reasons that I do. It's kind of like time management for your customer leads. So if you move on to a lead and say somebody's got an iPhone 6s Plus and they want $220, which is about what they sell for, you have a much better chance, since this person is closer to the market resale value reality of what the phone's actually going to sell for. You might very well be able to get that phone for $80 to $100, where somebody who wants $400 to $500 for a phone that sells for $220 and you need to get it for $100, that's a lot of room to negotiate down on. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible. I have done it before, and I'm sure there's people out there that have also, if they're using similar techniques, or if you use the one that I'm talking to you about in this video. But focus on the leads that are more profitable, that are actually going to pay off for your hard efforts and your time, rather than focusing on the ones like the example that I gave earlier in the video. If you do this, if you time manage your leads and you basically fire the customers that are bad, fire the customers that aren't, giving you a fair deal, and if you're in another business, those clients that expect you to perform $500 worth of work that only want to pay $100, fire them. Don't be rude to them, but when I say fire them, just basically send them a message, let them know your quote, and move on. That's it. Move on, fire the customer. Focus on the customers that are paying customers, that want to actually pay you for what the work or the marketing or what the item is worth. Focus on those customers, because those customers are probably going to be repeat customers also. Believe it or not, there are some people out there that will hold on to things when it comes to flipping, like when it comes to buying smartphones and electronics. There are people that will hold on to things forever and ever and ever, and they never let them go. And those people are very hard to negotiate with. Another kind of third thing that you can do with a customer that's being very stubborn about selling something is when you make your 24-hour offer. You can word the offer like this: I'll give you $100 cash. The offer is good for 24 hours. Keep in mind, smartphones depreciate at a very fast rate. So the sooner you sell it, the more you'll get for it. If you wait 6 months from now, the phone's going to be worth even less. Consider my offer. Period. Hit send. Move on to the next lead. So there's 3 different examples that I gave you in this video that you can literally go out there and start using tomorrow. And I promise you, if you apply the things that I said in this video, you will probably see a increased rate of closed leads and the leads that just really weren't all that great of leads in the beginning anyways. So these are kind of the ways to combat that. But like I said, the biggest thing is know when to fire your customers, know when to pursue them. So if the customer is being very difficult, boom, send out a couple of those example texts that I kind of said in this video and move on to the next lead. It's not about how many leads you get, it's about how many leads you close. But if you have 1,000 leads, chances are you are going to close more than the person who has 15 leads. So the faster you get them, the better you get with texting, messaging, or taking phone calls, and the better you get at the psychology of sales and what you should be saying, what you should be doing, the more leads that you're going to be closing. But of course, like I said, the end goal is fire the ones that aren't good, leave them behind, and focus on the good ones, and then above all, generate as many leads as possible. So that being said, I hope this helps some of you out there, and if you are not in phone flipping, but you are in a business or a consulting business or a marketing business, remember this: never sell yourself short. Do not let a customer devalue your brand or your service. If you have one customer that's willing to pay $500 for service A, and then customer over here does not want to pay $500 for service A because they don't have the money or they just don't want to pay it and it's only worth $100, don't do business with that customer. Do business with the customer that's willing to pay what the service is worth, given within reason it is a fair value, and focus on those customers, because those are the kind of customers that you want. You don't want customers out there that are basically taking money and time away from your business and resources and costing you customers that are a higher priority. So that being said, keep that in mind, everybody. I hope you apply this to your business. I hope it helps you out a little bit, and I hope you got some value from today's video. Make sure you guys smash that like button, hit subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video.